So what's up guys, Sam here, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that last week I was actually out of Sydney on a bit of a holiday, and one thing that I love to do when I go on holidays or go to a different location is take all my camera gear with me, just because it's a great opportunity to get a variety of B-roll shots for future videos. So I did exactly that, but for the first time I actually had to kind of figure out a nice compact travel-friendly way to store all my gear. So I thought this video, I'll show you how I packed up all my gear, and hopefully this can help you for your future traveling gear needs. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the case that I store it all in. Now, this is from a website called, or it's actually not a website, it's a hardware store called Bunnings here in Australia. So I don't know whether or not these are available overseas. The beauty about this one, it's called Craft Right, that's the brand. It's a perfect size. It comes obviously with the pull out foam bit, so you can shape it however you want so that it's perfect for your gear. But again, the beauty with this thing was that it was super affordable. Right now it's listed as $50, and I will put the link in the description, but I think it was even cheaper when I bought it. So anyway, have a look, maybe just do a bit of research on whether you can find that, but this is the case that I store everything in. Really protective, and again, great because I can customize the shape. So the first thing that goes into the case is my camera. Now, for the sake of this video, I've got the Canon 550D here because I'm recording the video on my Canon T3i, but it's the same shaped camera, so doesn't matter. So that's my camera, but two things to point out is one, that it's got that top handle on it that I mentioned in my last video. And I also, whenever I pack this camera into this case, I always have the 50mm Canon lens on there. So that's just a really compact way to do it. And that's always the first thing that goes in. So it goes in like that. And as you can see, it's got this really nice slot for the top handle there, and it just kind of fits perfectly for the camera with the 50mm lens on it. Next up is audio, and as you guys probably know, as I've mentioned it in a couple of videos now, the only audio equipment that I really ever use, except for in this video where I'm using the lapel, but is my Zoom H4n. And what I've got here is a really cheap, it was about maybe $5 to $6 on eBay. It's a carrier case and it fits perfectly the Zoom H4n. And as you can see here as well, it's got this mic stand clip adapter in it, which I always take with me if I'm ever taking the Zoom anywhere. So that goes in there with the mic clip adapter next to it. So that's really nice and snug in there. And then that just slots in right next to my camera. And that actually acts as a bit of a divider between my camera and my lenses, which is what I'm going to show you next. So obviously you've got my 24mm lens here, and that slots in right there into that corner. So it's nice and snug. For this video, I've just got the 18 to 55mm kit lens just to show you as an example, but normally in this next slot would be my 14mm Samyang lens, which I'm recording with right now, hence why it's not in this video. But again, that's where I would normally put my Samyang 14mm. And one thing that I don't have here with me in this video is normally I've got a couple of spare foam cutouts that I actually put into these little gaps here, and that just kind of acts as a bit of a buffer for when I'm chucking my gear around. It means that they're not going to be banging plastic against metal or whatever. So that's what I normally do in that slot and in that slot. Next up, I've got my tablet. Now this is that Lenovo cheap $99 tablet that I've mentioned in a few videos. And basically what I use this for is to, if I'm ever recording a shot of myself, where it's really difficult to look at the articulating screen on my Canon T3i, then this is what I'll use to kind of monitor the footage. So I've got that, and that normally fits in about there, but again, just depending on the day, it might go in there. It's really what I'm feeling at the time. And then to go along with that, I've got this tripod stand adapter that's got a 1/4" screw at the bottom. And basically that just allows me to mount my iPad onto a tripod. So I put that next to it there. And then finally, just in terms of that sort of setup, I've got a female USB to micro USB, a little mini cable like that. And obviously what that allows me to do is to connect that tablet up to my DSLR. So that's what goes in there. Next up, I've got my just camera cable. So this is just a USB to whatever input that is, I never know, but that's what that cable is. And actually that's how I transfer all my footage to and from my computer. And basically, yeah, that just sits in there as well. And that's the cable that I use to connect the tablet as well. So that just sits somewhere in there. Next up, I did mention this in the video before, is I've got this Hotshoe Extender. Basically what this does is it slots on top of my top handle, And then that actually just gives me 2 extra Hotshoe mounts, so I can mount anything like audio or a light or anything like that. So that's what I've got there, and that generally slots into this gap here, but again, it depends on the day. So that's nice and snug in there. Obviously, any quick release plates for my tripods, they go in there as well, followed by power. So we've got just the Canon charger and the power cord. They'll just go anywhere that they fit. I like to keep things as snug as possible. And then just to wrap things up, I've got these 2 spare batteries. Normally I have 3 spares, but I think there's 1 in there and 1 on my camera at the moment. So I've always got spare batteries. That's the key for when you're traveling. You don't want to be out and about on location and then, all of a sudden I'm out of battery and I've got no spare. So that's all, I'm always carrying spare batteries. So that is the setup. It's very compact, and the beauty of it is that once I close this up, everything is really snug in there. So nothing's moving. Maybe a couple of cables will move about, but I'm not too worried about them. The main things are my lenses and my camera. So that's just a really good, heaps cheap setup to store all my gear for when I'm traveling. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs up would be very much appreciated. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys later.